Hello and welcome to episode 170 of the... Oh, wow. I just went right into that. Can you guys say something so I can make sure it's picking you up?
Something.
There we go. Perfect. It's picking you up. Perfect. Hello and welcome to episode 170 of the Game Group Podcast, the bi-weekly video game podcast where we sip delicious bevs and discuss video games. I am your host, Dan Dr. Watson Rotz, and I am joined by Allison Samwise Gamgee Van Devender.
As a hobbit, I'm adept at throwing stones. However, for the most part, I cannot grow a beard unless I'm a store hobbit. There you go. There's your factor of the day.
I do have that also up on my page.
I just wanted to find that fact for everyone. Now you're educated instead of a Samwise Gamgee pun.
And it's really hard to say Samwise Gamgee Van Devender. And Chris Chewbacca writes. Perfect.
That's the best I got.
That's the best you got.
Will was better at it.
He was the only one of us who could do a Chewbacca impression. What's the theme, guys?
Let me try. Hold on. I can't. I tried. I really tried.
It was very close.
No, not even little. I don't know.
You sound like
it's like rolling your.
You sound like Scuttle from Little Mermaid. That hurts my throat. What's the theme? Sidekicks, everybody. Secondary characters. On this episode of the Gamer Podcast, we ask the question: do we love playing games from a different character's point of view? Maybe the side character or the side piece. Who knows? But first, it's time for a bev. Folks, what are we drinking this week?
Well, I'm drinking. It's the end. It's the end, Dan.
It's the end.
The end times.
The end crab. The end crab.
So, I've had I've had beer from this brewery before. Crooked Crab. They are pretty close to me in. Actually, they're pretty close to where Alex lives. But they have a lot of fun artwork on their
nice
beer cans, and they also make pretty good beer. This is their End Crab. It's a New England triple IPA.
Holy shit!
So it's got 10.5% alcohol.
Okay, so slow on those. That's a slow drinker.
Yeah, so it's got the hazy characteristic that you would expect. Yeah, that's a triple. It's kind of got that like that thickness and sweetness that you would expect from like a normal triple IPA. Just so they can get the gravity up, they need to have more sugar. But it has some of the haziness, and it might be a little too sweet for me, but it's overall pretty good.
All right.
So many cool beer facts being on this podcast, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't drink any of them.
I know, but it's so.
You will never know what this tastes like without.
I won't. But I do. I love smelling them.
To be clear, you could.
I could. I would just be very bad afterwards. No, I this is a weird thing, but I love, and anyone who I'm around, if they would let me smell their beer when they open it, I'm just so curious because I can't drink them. I like to smell them to just kind of see what they smell like.
Every time I open a beer, I'm going to be like, smell my beer.
Thank you, because I'm so curious, and I always do that. Like, oh, I can't have this, but what does it smell like? Anyway, sorry, continue.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. Obviously, the chuggability.
No. It's relatively low. This is not a chugging beer at all.
Okay, nice.
What makes it not chuggable? Just out of curiosity.
The part where I would get very drunk very fast.
Yeah,
that's it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
This is like borderline.
An imperial.
Well, I was gonna say borderline like wine.
Wine, yeah.
Territory.
Wine's like 11%, so that makes sense.
So I don't think it would make sense to like just pound that much wine.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, you could. We were in France. We're not in France though.
In France.
En français. I could pound mine all day. I'm drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon, baby. Yeehaw.
You said you didn't say PBR.
PBR.
P stands for
Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's won awards, baby.
Yeah. That's like the hipster beer of Philly, I believe, isn't it?
Kind of.
It's the hipster beer of everywhere, I guess.
It's the hipster beer of everywhere. You drink PBR. It's kind of like regular Joes drink Miller Lite. The down home boys drink Bud Light, or I think they do. I don't know what they do anymore. Not anymore. But because they're stupid. And yeah, it's cheap. I mean, I asked Hannah to pick some up from the store, and she was just like, "It's so cheap." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. That's the whole point, baby. I could just drink these all day." But we did go to a restaurant over by us called Beer Hall. BIERHAUL is what the restaurant's called. Beer Hall. There's two ones. There's one out in Thornton called Farmhouse. This is the one in Westchester that opened not too long ago called Townhouse. I know the guy who's the general manager. And there I had a beer that was called, I'm going to talk about this. It's called a Disturbance in the Schwartz. And it's a Schwartz beer. So it's very malty. It was really malty. It was very drinkable. And they give it to you in like a big mug. So it was really yummy. Yeah, it was really good. All the beers I've had, highly chuggable. Could chug.
Very good.
Chug them all day, all night.
Huh?
Who's that?
I guess Fee's joining.
Fee, is that you?
Sorry, this is a bad time, but do it anyway.
Fee, hey, guess what, Fee? Fee? Can you
we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Fee. Are you here?
Okay, keep discussing your beer until he comes back. I don't know.
Right.
He's must be having trouble with audio. Go on.
He's having audio issues, but yeah, highly chuggable. I would highly recommend it. It's so hot up here in the Northeast that
so I was actually I have a brass band concert tonight. It was going to be outside in.
Oh no, they canceled that stuff.
No, they canceled it.
Yeah, they canceled that. There's like heat advisory warnings all over the place. So please, it
is hot.
Everyone,
stay safe. Drink more water. You're not drinking enough water. I don't care.
You're not drinking enough water.
You're not.
You're not.
You're
that's
not.
We have to. Gone. And he's gone. But yeah, so please. But this is our part of please drink responsibly. Whoa, please drink responsibly. Beer is not water. It will not hydrate you. In fact, it will make you less hydrated.
Actually, there is one beer that
there's one beer. What is it, Chris?
It's Sequence Ale.
Sequence Ale is a goes, and it has salt. It's like salty, and so it kind of hydrates you. But all other beers
in the same way that like Gatorade does.
Yeah. So, but all other beers are diuretics, and they will make you pee faster. So you will lose liquid in your body. So when it's hot, remember to beer, water. You know.
Oh, it rhymed, so it has to be true.
Fee,
there you go. You're working now.
Can you? Hey, we just want to make sure that you were here for a second, so we could all and join us in the chat as we sing this or type it. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear intern. Happy birthday to you. Woo.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yay.
Happy birthday.
Okay, that was worth 0 college credits.
Yeah, that's it. You don't get any credits for that. We don't have a cake or anything. In fact, we need you to go get us some coffees. So could you go do that now?
Yeah, I'll go do that and I'll be right back. Thanks,
okay,
guys.
All right. Sounds good. Happy birthday, Fee. That's it. That's all we wanted to do. Okay. Comedy.
And now, what a good segue from what you guys were talking about into what I'm drinking. I'm drinking Gatorade, man.
Gatorade.
Yeah.
H2O. Well, not
We're
H2O.
still, for the chat, I'm still in the progress of figuring out if I can drink again. So we aren't drinking, and we're just doing Gatorade. We're hydrating after a long day running around.
And you know what we say here, hydrate or dihydrate.
We do right now. That's what we always have said as of right now.
Hydrate or dihydrate. It's a Rotz Kirkner household motto.
Refreshing, not just for athletes. Can they sponsor us?
Gatorade?
Sponsor it.
I don't know, maybe.
I'm sure they would love to.
It gets really hot in my room. I know they like to do those commercials where they replace people's sweat with like they like replace it with like Gatorade, you know? They're like playing sports real hard, and then you see Gatorade dripping down their face. It gets real.
Really?
My armpits get real sweaty, so maybe we could do like
Dude,
blue Gatorade.
Are hot. We all sweat.
Yeah, in the summer it's very warm in the room that I have. Also,
Crazy.
I poured the end of the beer into this. It's now very chonky. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, that is
yeah,
chunky.
It's yeast.
It's yeast, baby. That's why it's a triple.
It's not
And also a hazy.
It's not sea monkeys because they kind of look like sea monkeys.
It could be sea monkeys.
Could be sea monkeys. Maybe I'm drinking sea monkeys.
Their whole society.
That'd be a gross beer soup.
Just ruined.
Delicious beer soup.
Speaking of things that are ruining society, the Elden Ring DLC came out on Friday.
Oh, no.
So that is what I've been doing as far as video games.
Oh, but is it bad?
I've been playing Elden Ring, but I have not been playing the DLC.
No, it's good. No, it's good. Allison, it's good.
The way
Don't worry.
That made me really nervous because I knew you were hyped, and there's lots of people who were hyped. So
Yeah. No. It's great. It's just that it takes up a lot of my time because it is it's good. It's hard. Like they didn't make it to be like, oh, here's extra content you could just go through. They were like, yeah, you beat the game. Here's more stuff that's probably harder that you have to work towards. So
I mean, I feel like that's the usual case. The DLC for Dark Souls, like like a bunch of those bosses were notoriously difficult. Like, yeah.
And the map is pretty big. It's pretty much the size of the regular map. It was like 36 gigabytes. Like this is they were like, instead of releasing another Dark Souls game, we're just going to release Elden Ring DLC. Because it's like a new story. It's in a new. It's like. Well, it goes off of the stuff. Basically, you kind of follow Miquella into this shadow realm, and then you're in there, and all of the stuff. It's like you can boost your abilities scores and like your number and stuff like that, and like your damage stuff, but only in the shadow realm. Whenever you leave, it doesn't stick with you. So it's like you can't get OP in the shadow realm by getting all of these extra things. And then come in. Now you can still use all the weapons. You can still level up normally. That's totally fine. But there's these things called Skadgetry fragments that you get that like boost your overall stats to make it easier.
When you called it the Shadow Realm, I instantly thought of Pegasus.
Yes, send you to the
Shadow Realm.
No! Oh, did you see the tangent time? Hey, welcome to the Tangent Podcast. Did you see there was this runner who was qualifying? He qualified, I forget what his name is, but he qualified for the 100-meter and the 200-meter Olympic trials. I think he's going to the Olympics. He's an American, but he was running, and before he ran, he reached into his runner's uniform, and he pulled out a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and they flipped it around, and it was a holographic Blue Eyes White Dragon.
That's right.
And he was just like,
no, he didn't.
Go, let's go. And I was like, this is the coolest person in the entire world. That's amazing.
This guy loves Yu-Gi-Oh.
This guy loves Yu-Gi-Oh and also running really fast. So I was just super pumped.
Usain Bolt didn't have a holographic Blue Eyes White Dragon, so this guy.
See, that was the problem. That's the problem. That's why he didn't. He's not in the top anymore. You know. Got to use the power. You got to believe in the heart.
He is Kaiba approved.
You got to believe in the heart of the cards, baby. Believe in the heart of the cards. What do you mean by that, Yukes? Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. It's really hard. It's really fun. You kind of have to get used to like. There's no you can't solo bosses. Like it's just like you go in and you're like, I can't. I'm gonna summon a mimic tier, or I'm gonna summon another thing. What up, Soba? It's great. It's really good. It's really fun. It really feels more like I stopped playing Elden Ring and I'm playing Dark Souls, which is kind of interesting.
Like is it just because like the vibe is completely different?
The vibe it's like slightly different. Like it's not. It's Elden Ring still. Like I still get the Elden Ring stuff. Like there's still really big bosses and stuff like that. But like I don't know. It has that sort of. There's a lot of human enemies, so it's kind of given me Dark Souls-y sort of vibes, which is really cool. So
that's cool.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. So I actually started playing again recently. Not really as much because of the DLC that I haven't bought yet, but because me and Ian have been playing a little bit of the of Elden Ring using the seamless multiplayer
mod. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just are always in the same place as the other person.
Yeah. So it's really cool in that like when you defeat a boss, you're not like immediately kicked out. The progression saves for both people. Each person has individual drops, so like something might drop for me, but it might not drop for Ian. There's no like you're not tethered to each other in that like you can like be on different parts of the map. It's really kind of impressive, and it's kind of like it was like this is how multiplayer should be for this game. And it's like I understand why From Software has the multiplayer the way it is, because it's supposed to be like, I guess it's supposed to be kind of convoluted like their games are.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's really fun. I mean, we're also like just straight up screaming through this game. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're probably cooking.
We've played 2 or 3 hours and we already finished Stormvale Castle. Like,
nice.
Yeah, we've one shot Margot.
Yep.
No,
Morgot.
the first guy.
Yeah, Morgot.
Yeah, they all have like this Margot.
Yeah, Margot, Migo, the Horalu, Lowerlu, the Michaela. There's
all. I think they're all either starting with G, M, or R because of George R. Martin.
I do think it has to do with like the family that they're in. Like he said something. I remember him talking about. I remember them talking about the enemy names and why they're all so similar. It was like, oh, because they're like in the same family, or like they're brothers or sisters, or they're reincarnations of the same thing. There's a boss in the new one because you fight Renala, who is like a magic user in this one.
Oh yeah, she's at the top of the academy.
The academy. You're also fighting. I'm fighting a twin blade magic knight boss right now who keeps beating my ass. Whose name is Rolana. So it's related. It's different. There's Renala and Rolana. They're just different aspects of the same thing. It's
also funny to me though that he was like George R. Martin. Everything is GRM.
It's great. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
But yeah, Elden Ring kicks ass. If you haven't played it, go play it.
Go buy it. Like if you don't have it yet, go buy it. It's so good.
It's the best game since Witcher 3.
Also true.
Is it?
It is.
Boldly stating, okay.
Boldly stating.
I don't think that's a bold statement. I think that's a fact.
In the Chris rating system.
Well, I mean, and this new DLC for Elden Ring took the place of for the highest scored DLC.
Yeah, and Metacritic.
From Blood and Wine, the Witcher
from the Witcher 3
DLC. Yeah. Which was like a 92. This is a 95.
It's a whole other game. It's great. I've been playing so much of it and I really haven't even scratched the surface. Allison.
Hello. So really all I've been playing, speaking of time sinks, is Ragnarok Origin.
Oh my gosh. This Ragnarok Origin game. Is this
Man, you're like me with Hearts of Iron.
It's true. That's all I see Chris playing whenever he isn't
playing Elden Ring some this week.
Whenever he isn't hiding from me on whenever everybody always hides what they're playing from the internet, so I can never see whenever people are on or what they're playing when they're on. I'm like, no, look at me.
That's why I do it, so people don't judge me for playing Hearts of Iron until 4 a.m.
Yeah. I'm just kind of I'm stuck in this game. I'll be honest, like it's physically losing steam for me, and by that I mean like we've talked about how the game is pay to win in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that gap is just getting greater and greater. It was like kind of bad at the beginning, and they're just doing events like so fast. So this is a game that's fully launched in a different way in the Asia servers. We are getting a game that's already existed, but in small chunks from what has already been released for them.
Didn't that happen with another game?
Lost Ark. Allison falls into this trap. Yes. So like the classes are releasing slower. They're actually starting to release things at like warp speed. It feels like, because I think they know what's going on. Are they
losing people?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like when the game first launched, there was a huge player base. Servers were thick, and there were many. And now they've done Huh?
How many C's?
In thick.
Three C's.
Three C's.
And we're definitely down to one C now.
Ooh.
Because we've done massive server merges already. And in that, like, things really changed in the game for us when our server merged, and everything was too busy because they merged too many servers together. But now the exact opposite's happening, where it's like I feel the server dying suddenly again, and it hasn't been long enough that the server should die. Like, we have a ton of people who are just quitting, and I see it in other guilds. Like, it's not just us. And it's a lot of it is because the classes that they want aren't released yet, and it's too difficult to swap. It just takes too much, either financially.
The grind is too much, like, because like it's not like some of that carries over to a different class. So you just have to like start from the beginning for that class.
Yes.
Yeah, it depending on the class you want. Some of them are worse than others. Like, if you want to change from a physical class to a magic class, obviously it's one thing. If you want to change from a support class to a non-support class, it would be one thing. If you want to go from a physical to a physical, that's less to do. But a lot of people want these like classes that they tried to really they couldn't get, so they played something else, and now they're like, oh, that's finally going to release. I really want it, but it's like too much work to get it changed, and you're super weak until you get everything together. So there's that they're adding too much content that's making you spend too much time in the game to not fall behind. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you've ever played games like that.
Yeah.
There's just, if it's starting to feel like a job rather than a game is where we're at. And
I
once
remember that feeling in WoW.
Yes, but like this is like 10 times worse than WoW, in my humble opinion.
Because you don't have the tools to be able to keep up with any of the stuff either.
Yeah, and the way that they like structure events and things, like I have podcasts every other Sunday. I miss a huge event that's super important every other Sunday. And that event didn't exist when the game launched, but they released it and decided to release it on the day where we had nothing really important going on. And now every day there's something important.
Oh my gosh.
Like, there's really no days that you can take a break, which to me is death.
And to me, this is a mobile game, correct?
Yes, I play it on PC and a client, but yes, it's a mobile game. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of games now that do
I feel like there's a lot of mobile games, and like I play one that does have events like that. It's Warhammer 40K Tacticus. I think I've mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it has events, and like they just recently did a new one, and like for whatever reason that week I was just kind of busy, and like so I just didn't get very far at it, and like it was just taking up too much of my time, and I was like I don't have time for this. But it sounds like this is even more so, and I just can't imagine like spending that much time on it.
Yes, and that's kind of where I'm struggling. So I'm really sitting here and I'm like, man, I put so much into this game. I really like aspects of it. I like playing with the people I'm playing with, things like that. But it's just getting to the point of like, I don't think it's fun. And we're at this like point of, do we become competitive or do we become super casual? And if we become super casual, is the game fun for me anymore? And I don't know that it is. And it seems like everybody else in my guild wants to become super casual. And I want to be casual competitive, where it's like, we're not dropping money, but we want to do as well as we can. And the gap is just so big now that we can't, unless we really like make some tough decisions and bring in some people who are like putting money into the game, if that makes sense. Like we just have to kind of fluff our guild a little bit with those people, and the sacrifices we'd have to make to do so, people just like don't want to do. So we'll see where I stand with this game next podcast. Right now I feel like I'm really on the, do I keep playing or do I just drop this?
Yeah.
So
that's what I was going to ask actually, was like, at what point do you feel like you get to like where you're like, okay, I think I'm done with this kind of thing?
That's where I'm literally sitting, and I'm trying to decide. Because I do enjoy aspects of the game. I'm not enjoying what the company is deciding to do with the game. And I don't think it's going to get better. And that's where I'm like, I'm probably done. But not everybody that I enjoy playing with has made that decision. So it's hard for me to leave until everybody makes that decision because I feel like I'm abandoning people, if that makes sense. That's where I'm at.
No, I
think I've decided I'm done with the game, but I'm there for them still.
Well, we could try and we'll find something. We got to find something for Allison. We got to find an
Hearts
MMO.
of Iron really sucks you in.
Hearts of Iron.
No, I need guys. I'm everyone who's listening. I'm looking for an MMORPG that doesn't let me down.
Oof.
Please, I'm so sick of these toxic relationships.
That's
I just want
game by this small company called Blizzard. You might
No, I don't like that one anymore.
Final Fantasy.
I've heard, I was going to say FF14 is very popular.
Allison says she doesn't like FF14. I've told her many times that I would play
I
Final
tried
Fantasy 14 again if she started playing Final Fantasy 14.
See, there's stuff that one did too that just disappointed me, and it felt like work.
Like what? So this is a topic for another.
Yeah, I was going to say we might have to do.
We should talk about the perfect MMO
in 2 weeks.
As the time mistress, I have to whip us. We will come back
in 2 weeks, or 2 weeks at our next episode of the podcast. We're gonna play the mystery dating game with Allison for massively multiplayer online role playing games.
Yes! Oh my god, I would love that. That sounds so fun.
I'll do some research. I'll find out stuff. In the chat, Soba says live service games try to steal all your time and your monies. Yes, they do. I know. I play Monopoly Go every day. And then Final Fantasy.
We all have our
yeah.
So I know we're dropping the topic, but I am going to repeat what Vex said because it is literally my opinion on Final Fantasy 14. It's too easy, but also getting through the fillers is a job. That's how it felt.
There's a lot of side quests. I love that though. Like that's one of my favorite things to like veg out doing is just like going on fetch quests and like becoming a better blacksmith and then, doing all that stuff. That's perfect.
I love those. I love side quests. I love jobs. I love jobs you can level, cooking, those little things that don't really matter, but they're great to have. Like those things I love.
That's the entire game.
But if I'm playing Naruto not Shippuden, I'm bored. Like if there's just nothing happening, these quests are pointless. I'm just one after another. Anyway, that was it. Okay, we can move on.
Okay, got it. And Fee says so much wasted content because of eye level boosts through dungeons and stuff. All right, well, sorry guys. We'll get there.
So my dating life continues in the MMORPG world. Continue.
And then we'll talk about your real dating life also in that last one. So, that's what we're transitioning to. No, but all right. But what we are going to transition to is kind of like, you guys see the new Legend of Zelda game that's coming out?
Legend of Zelda? Yeah. It looks like it's set in the same version as like Link to the Past.
Yes, it looks like Link to the Past. And in the trailer for it, it's pretty cool because it starts off and you see like Link is fighting Ganon and everything's pretty great. And then oh no, and then Ganon opens up a wormhole and then Ganon gets sucked through. It's like, yeah, you did it. And then Link also gets sucked through. And then they reveal, surprise, you're actually playing a Zelda in this Legend of Zelda game. And it looks really cute. It looks really cute and fun and cool because there's a lot of memes of one of the things that Zelda does. You have a staff that like makes everyday objects and you use those to solve puzzles and fight people. And so now there's a bunch of memes of Zelda like building IKEA chairs to throw at people, which is really cool. But that made me think about how I love it whenever games are just like, hey, the standard like thing that we do every time where it's like, hey, it's a Zelda game. Zelda's captured. Link has to go save her and do a bunch of dungeons and stuff. I like when it's different. It's my favorite thing in the world. And so I was thinking, hey, what are some other ones that did that? So I made a little list. You guys can read that one. And you can also, I didn't know if there were any others that pop out for you. But basically it's like games where it's like, or DLC, or like, little extra stuff that they do where it's like, it's then another character, or like the sidekick of it that you're not used to. Like Luigi's Mansion is one where it's right. Hey, you played Mario. Luigi's in Mario games. He's all over the place. He's jumping up and down. Well, this one, it's Luigi's game. But guess what? He's got a vacuum. He sucks up ghosts. How about them apples?
Yeah.
Different.
And like it also kind of made me think of what was the Wario game? WarioWare. I guess that was a little bit different because that was like it was more like mini games and stuff, but like he went from being an antagonist to being like kind of like
just doing rhythm-based mini games.
Yeah.
That's his whole job.
A different side of him, you know. He's got layers to him.
He's like an ogre. He's got layers.
He's very much like an ogre. Another one that like I kind of thought of when I thought of this was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, just kind of getting a different view of the same world, but from a different character's perspective.
Yeah,
a lot of like the same companies and characters I think showed up in Revengeance, but like
completely different game style, completely different play style.
Yeah. And like I loved Revengeance.
yeah, I remember you talking about that. But even when you think about it, I guess in Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, that kind of like fakes you out in the beginning because it's like you think you're going and playing as Snake, and then you get tossed off a boat, and then you play as Raiden.
Well, and you kind of do that in 5. Spoiler alert.
Kind of, yeah. You think you're Snake. Well, yeah. These are all spoilers. These games are like 7 years old. Who cares?
Oh, it's more than 7.
More than 7. Anyways. I'm old as hell.
But yeah, it's like you're playing as a clone of Solid Snake. No,
you're playing as Big Boss.
No, you're playing a clone of Big Boss.
No, you're playing. Wait, hold on.
Big Boss is the guy at the beginning that has like stuff wrapped around his head.
That's right. Hospital. That's right. Yeah, and then because Big Boss is also a clone of the Boss, who is from Metal Gear Solid 3, Sons of Liberty.
Metal Gear Solid.
No, wait, no. So Metal Gear Solid 3. Wait, what's the third? Snake Eater that they're releasing as Delta.
With the good song.
With the good song that you have to listen to as you climb a ladder for 20 minutes. Yes.
Allison, that one's like a huge fake out, I guess.
That's a big fake out. Yeah, because you're like, oh, guess what? You're not this guy.
Yeah, so when this topic was brought up to me, like one jumped out at me, which was Final Fantasy X and 10-2.
Oh, yeah, 10-2. I forgot about that.
That was like the example of this for me.
With totally not football or soccer.
Blitzball.
Yeah.
The best sport that exists or doesn't exist. And then so Titus, depending on
the translation.
It's Titus.
It's Titus. But he was the main character in Final Fantasy X, and then in 10-2 you get Yuna, which I mean, for me when I was younger, like I was like, hell yeah, like girl power Final Fantasy game, give it to me, please, because that like didn't exist. And but it was weird, and it kind of wasn't what I wanted it to be, so that was upsetting. But you know, I liked the idea of getting more from, because in all the other Final Fantasies, yeah, you have sequels, but not a direct sequel. Like you get more Final Fantasies, but they're completely different characters. Mm-hmm. And that was the first one that had a sequel with the same characters, and then they took, you know, these like badass women and made them front runners, which was very cool to me personally. But
because that was Yuna and Riku,
and then they brought in a new character,
Pain, who had like the cool. She had like the cool.
She's cool badass, man.
She had really cool hair.
She was hella girl crush. Like she was, yeah.
She's great. Yeah, but that's great. And there was no like weird laughing scene in that one either.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that. They really should have brought that back. Honestly,
they really should have.
They should have. But I liked the concept of that. I loved that it happened, but that was a poor execution. So I wasn't sure if you guys if you thought they were all like good ideas and good executions, or if you felt any of these were more like they flopped and it shouldn't have happened.
I was sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, there's some Resident Evil games that shouldn't have existed. Well, I mean, honestly, ignoring any of the main like Resident Evil, because Resident Evil by itself is great because it's like the first game you were like, it was like, oh yeah, Jill Valentine, members of this, and then it kind of like branched off as like, oh, someone who knew this person, and then that's their story in Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3, same thing. It's like, oh, it goes wrong. Resident Evil 4, oh yeah, it's Leon again, he's here, et cetera, et cetera. I'm thinking like there are some where they do side ones. There's like Resident Evil Revelations, which was the ones for the DS or something, the Nintendo DS.
Tangent. It's fun that there were so many games back then that had the tagline Revelations. I can think of at least 2. I'm sure there was more.
There's also a Matrix
Revelations was like the extreme. You know how everything was extreme for a while? Everything needed Revelations at a certain point too.
Extreme.
It's just one of those words.
Extreme Revelations.
The next games will all have Skibbity in it, I assume.
Oh god. Or it's going to be like Sigma or whatever they're saying.
Alpha.
You're welcome, Gen Alpha. We know your lingo, your slang. We're hip to it. But they had this one that came out like Umbrella Chronicles, which was it was like, oh, it's an it's like a over the shoulder third person shooter that was like you play Umbrella agents who are like cleaning up the zombie apocalypse stuff, and that was
on the Wii, right?
Was it like Viscera Cleanup Duty?
No, Umbrella Corps is what it's called, and it was
the Umbrella Chronicles. Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, originally the Wii.
Yep, and it was like, so it was like, oh yeah, we got it. Of course, when it's on the Wii, it's like, yeah, we got to use the shooter thing. So.
So I think that there's like kind of 2 different versions of this. There's like similar or like continuing a story from a different person's perspective versus just like slapping a character that you kind of know from a known game and then just kind of seeing what they're like in just kind of a different situation.
Yeah. I'm thinking,
like,
you know what I mean? Like
Dr. Mario versus Luigi's Mansion.
I mean, I don't even consider Dr. Mario. Is there a story to Dr. Mario?
Yeah, you're Mario, and he's a doctor. He's giving you a bunch of pills. Yeah. You got to swallow.
Like it's a puzzle game.
So fine, Luigi's Mansion.
But like, yeah, Luigi's Mansion was what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Versus the same. This are you asking like the same?
I was saying like
world?
Or like comparing to like Luigi's Mansion versus something like BioShock Infinite. It's a different protagonist, but there are connections to the first 2 games that are made, I think in the DLC at least. But like it's kind of continuing the BioShock story overall, whereas Luigi Mansion is just kind of its own thing.
I think it's like there's the reason that, and it's kind of hard to think of these games, I think, because a lot of times it is. Did you guys play the Infamous games at all?
A little bit.
Because there was like Infamous, there was Infamous 2, and there was Infamous Second Son, which was
which
that was
one of the release games for PS4. I remember.
Yeah, it was a release game for the PS4, and then there was.
No, I'm thinking of Prototype, which came out around the same time.
Yeah, but Infamous
was PS3.
Yeah, PS3, and then that kind of went for a while because it was like an exploration. It was like you have superpowers kind of stuff. But it also like toted the like, oh, you could be a good guy or a bad guy sort of like hero or villain sort of thing, because that was all the rage in the early 2000s. But they had Infamous Second Son, which is where it's like, oh, we had the main guy, but you're his brother who you didn't know about because you were adopted. And then I think there's also Infamous Last Light, which is like another person. You basically play Laura Bailey, but with superpowers. Nice. Like the character model. The character model is Laura Bailey. Like you look at it, it's like that's Laura Bailey. And the voice actor is Laura Bailey. It's just like, yeah, it's just Laura Bailey with superpowers. Which I don't have a problem with it. I love Laura Bailey. She's great. Everybody loves her.
I mean, like okay, so I'm thinking about these in a way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of took it from the example one we started with, which was the new Zelda, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking of this as like characters that are in the game that are like side characters or in the same world, but not the original main character. That was kind of what I was stemming off of.
That's what it is. It's just hard to think of them, isn't it?
Yeah. But then it's like, how many games have been successful versus unsuccessful with it in our opinions of the ones we've thought of?
I feel like generally they are pretty successful.
I feel like they generally are as well.
Perspective.
Because the only negative I could think of was 10 and 10-2.
And like, was 10-2 really bad, or was it just you didn't like it as much as 10?
The dress cores were dumb. It was dumb, and it was a core part of the gameplay. So it could have been cool. Like, I liked the concept. It was just really poorly executed. And so in that aspect, like, a lot of the game mechanics were bad, so it was a bad game to me. But I think about it when I think about other media too. It's like there's definitely movies, TV shows. Let's talk about the Star Wars universe that take the same universe, same time period, or maybe they timeline it, but it's the same, and they kind of like beat it to death with too many characters, too many side stories, and too much. And I don't think video games necessarily do that. I don't know if it's something that's like natural about the financial part where people just won't buy it if it's bad, so they die out when those bad ideas happen. I don't know. I don't know what it is about video games that I feel like it happens much less than it does in other media forms.
I assume it could be related to like these are games that are like kind of established IP, and they don't want to ruin the IP, so they know they have to do a good job.
And I think it's also it also can get away with, like, we'll see a lot of the things are like they'll get away with like downloadable content, which is like Alan Wake 2 that just came out in because Alan Wake 2, you play Alan Wake and another character. There's also 2 characters that help you along the way. And it's like, oh, they're pretty interesting characters. They don't do much aside from like give you information, and like, you know, kind of help you out. But now they released 2 DLC where it's like, oh, you play as the sheriff character, and then you also play as, and then the other one you play as the waitress character, who are both like key points of the story, but also they're just kind of there. So now it's like, oh, there's new stuff, and you could get away with doing that as DLC because it's small. Like, you don't have to dedicate a whole game to it. Like, yeah.
I was also reminded that like this is not the first time that Zelda's done this. That there's a very bad, I think it was CDI game previously that you could use as Zelda.
Yeah. I don't know if we don't talk about those though.
Zelda there are games that you play as Tingle.
That's right. You could use the Tingle tuner in the
I don't know why
version.
They were like, you know what the people want? The people want to play as Tingle.
I mean, I would want to play as Tingle. Yeah, damn straight, I'd play that.
Tingle, tingle, Kula Limpa. You know, that's what you say whenever you give us some items. And then you fly up into the air on your balloon. There are some ones that I think work really good. I love the Yakuza series of games. And there are really dude. You need to play Yakuza 0 because it's like a prequel. You could play that and you don't need to know anything. All you know is that it's like you play it. You must defend your honor and the honor of your clan. And
also kill.
And also kill. Well, no, you don't really want to because that's not good.
Bad.
But it's bad. You could get arrested.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Thank you.
But from that, there's so many characters. This thing's like a soap opera. There's so many characters that you meet, and there's a whole bunch. There's like there's like Yakuza Ishin, there's Yakuza Judgment, which is where you play like a detective who goes after one of the main character, Kazuma Kiryu in Yakuza. And then there's also Like a Dragon. The series in Japan is called Like a Dragon, but there's a version of it called Like a Dragon where you play as a guy who really loves RPGs, who also is like an enforcer and like meets a bunch of other characters, but he's like loosely related to Kazuma Kiryu from Yakuza. So it's like, you know who he is. You go and it's like, but they're all different types of games. Like there are kind of like beat 'em ups, but they're always different. Soba, it might be. I don't know. I need to look that up. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. It's not a Game Brew fact. He says so. It's called Like a Dragon in Japan. Maybe could be. I'm not surprised. Probably like different wordings.
And to answer Soba's other question, I didn't read until now. Sorry. Final Fantasy 4. I think that was 6 actually, wasn't it? That was after years. Either way, it released in 2009, and Final Fantasy X-2 released in 2003. So Final Fantasy X-2 was first, but you are right. That did happen as well.
Then there's also ones where it's like it is a sequel, but they switch the characters up on you, like Last of Us Part 2. Spoiler free, you do change characters in it quite a bit, about 2 times.
Well, that also, I was going to mention that as well. Like that happens pretty frequently in games, actually. I think
where they're just like, "Hey, guess what? New protagonist." Like,
you're going to play as a different protagonist, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
There are sections in The Witcher 3 that you play as
Ciri.
In Near Automata, you play as her there. I guess there.
They're a robot, so yeah.
Yeah. Their companion.
Yep.
10 something.
10B. I don't know. 10C. I don't know. 4B. You know what I'm talking about. This is the other guy. This is the person. You wear the skirt. You have a big sword. This is the other guy. It's more
of a dress.
It's like a dress. But yeah, I think there's. But usually that's whenever you get people like. Don't people like? I don't know. People always complain about stuff whenever you change it to, or I don't know. The shouty people complain about stuff whenever you change it. Like I'm surprised that I haven't heard a lot of people being like, "You don't play as Link? I can't believe it."
Well, there's a whole
that exists. I'm
there's
sure.
a whole like thing with Warhammer right now that they mentioned in one of the rule books that one of these characters or one of like these factions that had always been viewed as male, even though they had never said anything about it, but all the models had always been male.
Yeah.
They mentioned in like a story in one of the rule books that there was a female, and there was like a huge uproar.
Wild.
Yeah, and it's like people don't like change.
Yeah. But I think it's like you gotta get used to it, guys. Like things change. You know? Friggin' what's his face? Uncharted. Nathan Drake can't be Uncharted forever, you know? There's gotta be a different Uncharted.
He's gotta be charted at some point.
He's gotta be charted. You can't always be Uncharted. At some point you find everything.
I mean, you'll always have that anti-woke crowd, if you will, thinking it's just a woke agenda to give a woman a game. I mean, you're just always going to have that. To have female presence, to have female presence in a game, holy shit, not allowed.
How dare?
What if we were like, yes, it is a woke agenda, and
I would never.
And
I don't
get the fuck over it. I mean, maybe even if it is like, yeah, get the fuck over it. But it doesn't even have to be.
Do you think the gay agenda is part of the woke agenda?
I mean,
sorry.
Listen, I just think
depends on how you're defining that. I
don't know. All I know is I have to go to brunch on a Sunday at 7. I don't know what agenda that's on, but I got to go there. That seems more like a breakfast to me. But you know,
is it a drag brunch? Because then
it could be on the gay agenda.
It's definitely part of the woke agenda. The woke agenda definitely
that's where they cross. That's where that's where the gay agenda
definitely has drag brunch.
Please, if you haven't, go to a drag brunch because it's a blast.
It's a lot of fun. Also, if you want to, this isn't drag related, but there's in New
Is it
York.
brunch related?
No, it's musical theater related.
Which is kind of like drag brunch.
It's kind of. But they just released at PAC NYC. They just put on a Cats performance. They're doing Cats, but they're not dressed like cats. Instead, it's like ballroom, like Vogue, like ballroom dance sort of.
Amazing.
Like, and it's so cool. I keep watching the TikToks. I'm just like, I want to go see this. This looks so fun.
This is the only version of Cats that I want to see.
Also, Lord Greyman says that's the barely awoke agenda because I'd still be asleep for brunch.
Yeah, that's true. I'm barely awake.
It's a beautiful pun, and we have to add it. So.
That's great. That's wonderful. Do you have there been like sequels or spin-off games that you've liked more or less than? Like, let's say, are there any that you liked more than? Like, is there like a DLC or like I liked Princess Peach Showtime more than the Mario games, you know?
That's a good question. I feel like BioShock Infinite, I think, was better. I enjoyed more than the first two. Than
the first ones? Your character, I will say, giving the character a voice, and that voice being Troy Baker was a good choice. You know?
Voice is good choice.
Wait, was it Troy Baker? Hold on, I can't give
I'm pretty sure it was Troy Baker.
Okay, here's one. And I'm gonna throw this out there.
Okay.
And I didn't even think of it until this question as one of them that works for this. So Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I actually haven't played that yet, and I probably should.
It's pretty good.
I liked it more than Borderlands. I thought it was very well done. I love the Borderlands story writing, like the humor and everything mixed in. I think it's great. Tiny Tina was my favorite character, so her getting a spinoff of some kind
doesn't surprise me.
I'm sure it does not surprise you. She was my favorite character, so her getting a spinoff was amazing to me, and the fact that it marries my love of Dungeons and Dragons too, it couldn't get better. It really couldn't, guys. So for me, that game was better than any of the Borderlands games, just because it ticked every Allison box that you could. In that
game, do you still have guns?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's kind of the fun of it is like she goes, it's Dungeons and Dragons, but you have guns.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew.
It's stellar. If you have not played it and you have any like for Borderlands, holy shit, what are you doing with yourself? Go play it.
I will say that one is really good with friends. Doing it by yourself is good
Borderlands
too.
Is always better with friends.
Yeah. But it's so much better with Mo people. Yes, it is Troy Baker. I was right.
So that one is better for me. That's the only one I can think of offhand that I would say is better.
Do you guys remember that Rabbids are like technically a Rayman property?
Yeah, yes.
And that it was a Wii game. It was called Rayman Raving Rabbids, where it was a Rayman game, and then the Rabbids escaped. But now this is like where it's almost like a virus, where the Rabbids started to do everything, and they became their own thing, and then they invaded like Nintendo Land.
They're the same as Minions.
Yeah,
they are Minions,
but for video games.
Yes. And I would say the Minion movies are great standalones. And
ooh, interesting.
And so it's very similar in thought process to me that IP, those characters in both getting their own thing. Yeah, it's going to be a win.
Okay. All right. I like it. So I'm gonna hit us, since we're getting close to time here. I'm gonna hit us with our final question. So should we keep doing this? Should we keep like spinning off like characters from games, or should we come up with new IPs? Like, should we let Zelda games just be Link? Should we let Metal Gear Solid games only be Solid Snake? Or should we embrace the change?
I like both. Like I hope this is not the last time. I assume it's not, that we're going to see Link. But also, I think it's fun to explore someone else in the same world and like see like what they're about, especially a character that you know well. You know what I mean? So I think it's good. I like it.
Okay. So here's my standpoint, since we kind of talked about this in a couple ways today. I like the woke agenda.
Okay.
And I don't care that it's the boogeyman for some people who are scared of positive social change. So I'm here for that. Go ahead, give me a random side character who was a little gay in your game and make him a main character. Give me the woman and make it a main character.
Yeah.
Give me Tingle.
Yes.
I want Tingle.
Yes, we are Tingle stands here.
Tingle is the woke agenda, and I'm here for
Tingle
it.
is very much the woke agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude wears
his green skin tight onesie.
His green skin tight onesie, and all he does is just look for treasure, guys. That's all he does.
He's a little creepy.
He thinks he's a Kokiri guy. He's not. He thinks he is though. He knows.
So in that sense, yeah, I'm totally here for that. I am also just here for taking those stories, flipping them on their head, giving us a new perspective of a different character in the same world. Maybe I love expanding a good world.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a game that was enjoyable, give me more of it. Don't give me the same bullshit with a number 2 at the end. Like if I'm just continuing a sequel that feels empty and hollow and you're just doing it because the game was popular and you don't really have good purpose in continuing that story, we're all going to feel it. And if you just take an interesting character and give them their own story because that's more meaningful, we'll buy into that. So that's kind of how I feel about this. Don't make it a cash grab. Don't make it a half-assed game just to throw it out there and make money on it. Like, make it meaningful. And yeah, I'm way here for it.
And I think that's where, with video games, we get into whenever it is like a game starring a side character or something like that, where it's like they can't half-ass it, because if you do, no one buys it. You know, it's like it's got to be good. Luigi's Mansion.
Sure.
Whenever
we buy it just because of the title, and we think it's going to be good because it's that IP.
To be fair, it's Nintendo,
and we're disappointed.
Nintendo rarely
really
misses.
Throw out anything bad.
Yeah.
It might not be like the best shit ever, but like it's never like bad.
Yeah, that's true. Well, then let's take Nintendo out of it. But regardless, I don't know. I'm here for it. I like all sorts of things. Listen, I'll tell you what. When I like a thing, I like all of that thing.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what. I sell propane and propane accessories. But I tell people this all the time about all of the things that I love. Which is like specifically right now is like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I could not get enough Star Wars. The weird fans who aren't really fans, who are just looking for clout, are always like, there's too much Star Wars right now. I can't believe how much Star Wars there is. It's getting too clouded. I'm like, there's always been a lot of Star Wars. You just don't know about it because you're a fake person.
That's fine. Just make it meaningful.
And I'm just like, I don't even care. I'm like, as long as it's like, hey, as long as I like the story, I don't care about all the other stuff. It's great. I love Star Wars. It's cool. I love that there's a giant expanding world with all of this different stuff in it that you just put other stories into. It's great. I love it. It's a universe.
It's one of the reasons that it's my favorite series.
It's more than hating sand, but I don't want to get onto that tangent right now. If you want to get into that tangent with me, I will do that gladly. I mean, me and Pixie Gazer had a big old conversation in the general chat this week about video game movies and stuff. Which we're going to talk about that at some point.
I'm excited. We should need to start that up soon.
We need to start once we get into July here. I think it's probably going to be Cinema Summer, which means it's time for everybody's favorite offshoot of the Game Brew podcast, the Game View podcast, where we watch a video game based movie and then talk about it, and whether we liked it, whether we didn't like it, whether its successes and its failures. So I'm going to put some polls up into there because we've got some sequels to dig into from ones we did before. We've got some movies we haven't watched yet, which could be fun. I really don't want to watch the second. What was the girl with the blades on her arms? Didn't we watch that one? The vampire lady. What was that one called?
Blood Rain.
Blood Rain. There's Blood Rain 2. I really don't want to watch that.
There's multiple Blood Rains. I really don't want to watch anything by you, Ball.
We'll try our best.
Like, I learned my lesson.
You have to at some point.
Like I wanted to because I'd never seen it, and man, that is by far the worst movie I've like. Not even video game movie, just straight
Just
up
a terrible
worst
movie.
I've ever
It's just
Yeah,
terrible.
so you get it now.
Truly
You get why he has the title he has.
truly awful.
Great. Wicked, we could talk about this offline.
Hey,
we could,
offline, you mean while we're playing?
while we're playing video games, we'll talk about like I love Star Wars. It does matter. But yes. So, with all that, I'll put some polls up in the chat. You can go there by going to bit.ly/discobrew. In fact, that's how you can get to all of our Discord stuff. It's free for anyone to join. You can go in, you can chat with us. We can talk about movies, we can talk about video games. We kind of need to update some of the channel names and stuff.
The best.
Chris will usually be playing Hearts of Iron. Gray says he loves a good Dan poll. No, everybody loves a good Dan poll. Let me tell you what.
Anna especially.
Yeah. No, she actually hates when I ask her a lot of questions and make her choose stuff.
Oh.
Poll, Poll. Chris, what were you thinking about?
I thought that's what we were talking about.
I mean, that's not how Gray spelled it, so I'm not commenting on any of this.
So what Allison is trying to say is she was thinking something else when she was thinking of. Never mind.
You guys are terrible.
I just read what Gray typed. That's it.
But you could go there. That's bit.ly/discobrew. If you want to listen to any of the past podcasts, you can by searching for the space Game Brew space podcast on any of your favorite podcasting media. They're all up there. You can watch. You can listen. Watch. You could listen to any of them. The last episode, I did put a little prerequisite for it. If you didn't catch it on Twitch, you should watch it on Twitch. There's a lot of visual gags and visual questions, which are pretty funny. One of the funniest jokes I've ever played was visual, so you have to watch it for that. Just telling you, it's Jigglypuff from above.
Oh, you just ruined it.
It's fine. And yes, so that's about it. Anyone else have anything they would like to plug?
Yes. Okay, I would like to plug. So I was hoping that we could have a guest on, but unfortunately our timing for our podcast doesn't meet his schedule, so we won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to plug something
please.
On his behalf. Plus I think it's very cool, and I'll be going. So intern's friend, James Winfield, he's the coordinator of a convention that's local here in the Shenandoah Valley, so I just wanted to throw it out there. It's called 1D4Con, and it's a tabletop gaming convention. It'll be held at Clarion Inn, Harper's Ferry, Charlestown, West Virginia. So I know we have people kind of all over the place, but we had a lot of JMU people who might still be in this area. So I thought I'd throw it out there.
What can you expect there?
So it is a bunch of, I was trying to get more information, and I wish I could have talked to him before this. I'll try to talk to him for the next one and give you guys a little more clarity. But it's lots of sit down playing games. There's going to be charity stuff. So in some of the games that you play, you can actually buy extra benefits for charity, like rerolls, if you will, things like that.
Oh.
So I thought that was kind of cool and interesting, a way to bring charities into that. So that is going to be from July 19th to the 21st. And the hotel block, if you're live, good news, it ends in 3 days. If you're not live, hopefully there's still rooms there in different ways when the hotel block closes. But yeah, I'll have more information at our next one that I can share with everybody about more of what you can expect. But yeah, I'm just going to go to support that because I think that's very cool.
That's
and
great.
To be clear, it is Harper's Ferry and not Charlestown, West Virginia.
I don't know. It said both, and I got nervous.
So it says the address is 4328 William L. Wilson Freeway, Harper's Ferry.
Yeah, so I think it is Harper's Ferry. I think it was originally supposed to be Charlestown, so I think that's why it said that. And I'm going to get a lot more clarity on it. But that was. Yeah,
we'll get more solid information for you, but it's really cool. It seems it's a board game and gaming convention, which is pretty cool. And it supports a friend. So I would definitely go do that. Especially I won't be able to, but it does start on the 19th and ends on International Dan Rotz Appreciation Day. So
it does.
Remember, while you're there on the last day, appreciate all the Dan Rotzes in your life. It's important. It's important that this happens. Great. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm streaming Vinalia, twitch.tv/Vinalia, Vinalia.
Perfect.
That's it.
And yeah, you can come hang out with me if you want on Thursdays, or it happens randomly now because it's summertime. But we play Call of Duty. I've been playing some Elden Ring on there. Maybe I'll try and get my brother to play. Maybe we'll do like a run of A Way Out or something like that. Maybe me and Brad will play some 2-player games. That could be fun. Brothers in gaming. Chris, do you have anything you want to plug?
If you're in the DC area, I want to come listen to a brass band concert that I'm playing in. We're playing tomorrow. This is for people that are listening on
Right now.
Twitch and not people that are going to be listening
Tomorrow,
to
the
this later.
24th.
So that's
of
June.
It's in June 24th at the Herndon Methodist Church.
Oh, I've been there.
You have?
Yeah, when I lived in Herndon for a little bit.
Oh, I forgot you lived in Herndon a little bit.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah, so that's where we rehearse, and we're gonna have our concert there, and it's at 7:30 tomorrow night. It's gonna be good. It's lots of movie music.
Movie music.
Yeah, so we're playing arrangement of How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh,
which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, awesome. Well, check it out. That's the Cherry Blossom Brass Band.
That is.
Very cool. So that's it for plugs. And with that, we're going to end the podcast portion of tonight the way we always end the podcast, which is by saying good night,
Good night,
everybody.
Everybody.